Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Persistence in Prayer. This week, I am celebrating my pre-Christmas miracle. My wonderful husband, Russell, has agreed to join me here on the podcast.
What's
And
up?
not only did he agree, he actually volunteered. So I'm super excited. As we are preparing for the holidays, I thought it might be helpful for a lot of you to hear from a couple who also navigates many of the things that you will be navigating this Christmas season, whether that is going to family get-togethers with your in-laws, maybe you will be around people of different faith backgrounds, or maybe you'll be around an aunt or an uncle or a cousin or a sibling, or maybe your own parents who sometimes can just rub you the wrong way. So today we're going to talk about some of our favorite Christmas traditions, how you can get along with your spouse while you are prepping for family get-togethers, being that you are going somewhere else or you have family coming to you, and how you can establish good boundaries and leave your holiday get-togethers from a place of peace. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to the Persistence in Prayer podcast hosted by Catholic mindset coach, wife, mother, educator, and speaker Kylie Hein. Kylie is passionate about helping you deepen your relationship with God through the power of prayer. This podcast is a space for high achievers who want to do it all, but also want to prioritize their spiritual life and grow in faith. Join us as we explore the beauty of persistence in prayer and the transformative impact it can have on our lives. Get ready to discover practical tips, insights, and inspiration to help you develop a daily prayer practice and cultivate a deeper sense of trust in God's plan for your life. Let's journey together towards a more fulfilled and faithful life as we invite the Holy Spirit in. Let's begin. I am so thankful to have you here. And
You're welcome.
would you just introduce yourself? Obviously, you have the same children as I do. We have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old. We've been married for just over 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to tell everyone how we met?
So we met at college through a mutual friend, actually. And our mutual friend happened to be, she lived close to my hometown. And we just kind of hit it off, starting out that way, I guess. I invited you down, I think, for a birthday party. My 25th birthday party?
25th birthday party. So he was a friend of a friend while we were in college, and because of our mutual friend that lived near his hometown, we still kept in touch sometimes.
Yeah. And let's see, we went dancing for my 25th birthday, if I recall.
The Eagles Club.
Yeah.
Country line dancing.
Country line dancing. At the time, I was teaching line dancing class, so not that I'm really much of a line dancer anymore, but
well, you were.
It got the girl, so that's all that matters.
It got the girl, and you were also doing personal training at the time.
Yeah,
which was tied into the line dancing.
Right. Yep. At the time, there was like flash mobs going on. That was kind of a hit craze. Not to date ourselves, but I don't see flash mobs on YouTube much anymore. So
dancing is one of our favorite things to do together. And then the second time we kind of met up after that was I needed someone for my sand volleyball team. Even though it was over the winter, it was a January indoor tournament. And fortunately for me, my husband is very athletic. So he was nominated and agreed to drive about an hour and a half to come meet my entire family, which I don't know if you knew what you were getting into, but just as a friend,
I didn't realize how big the family was until we met the family. Not a bad thing, though. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Kind of funny story. When I was invited to this 25th birthday party, I thought it was a friend's thing. I didn't realize when I got there that his grandma and his sister and parents would be there.
Come to find out, this is a payback, so that's why you invited me to the same volleyball team.
It actually was not planned. But that's really how we got together, I think, was seeing one another with our families.
Yeah, and how we each interacted with them, for sure.
Yes. So I will say we are blessed to have wonderful families on both sides. Not everyone has that. True. But like all families, we all have our quirks, and there are still some somewhat difficult things to navigate.
Yeah.
When we go through holidays. Also, another reason why I wanted to have my husband here today is we are not from the same faith background. So those of
Nope.
you who have listened to this podcast know I'm very Catholic and I talk about a lot of Catholic things, and my husband is not Catholic.
I'm not what you call, I really don't have a...
You're Christian.
Yeah, but other than that, that's kind of it.
You don't have a designated home base.
No. If I was to call it something, it's probably more Methodist than anything, but that's from way back.
So growing up, that's
Yeah.
what you were around. Yeah. So I'm blessed. Russ knew from the beginning that my faith was important to me, and he has attended Mass with me consistently since we started dating.
Yeah. And boy, was that something to get used to.
So every year,
And
the
it still is
kids-
something to get used to.
the kids slowly are creeping him up closer and closer to the front pews of the church, which gives me a giggle when they lead in, and you can see the discomfort on his face, but he takes it like a champ as we get closer and closer to the front of the church. So I just want to say, for anyone else out there who has a spouse who is not of the same faith, it is a beautiful thing to have someone who challenges you and helps grow you. And I think we can honestly say that we help grow each other.
Happy wife, happy life.
Okay, let's start off by talking about kind of a fun topic. Favorite Christmas traditions. Again, coming from different faith backgrounds, and also just in general, I think every family has different traditions that they like to celebrate, but you are very much Mr. Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
This is by far your favorite holiday. He's the dad that goes above and beyond.
True, I think.
What are some of your favorite Christmas traditions?
Oh boy. Well, the first one would have to be setting up outside decorations. That's probably something that I'm hoping to pass down to our kids, because we have hand-painted wooden figurines outside that have been passed down from my grandpa to my parents and my parents to me, and hopefully I can pass them to my kids. There's a whole library of figurines still at my parents' house, but I know my sister, if she's listening, we kind of trade some back and forth here and there. But anything from 6-foot Santa Clauses to nativity scenes to ice skaters and little snowmen and all kinds of things that a lot of those my kids haven't even seen yet, but over time slowly breaking each of them out. But I would say that the biggest one is outdoor decorating. My grandpa was known in my hometown for having a extravagant Christmas display spanning over... They lived on a farm, and it would span over acres and acres and acres of farm fields and houses and barns and all kinds of stuff, where you'd pull up in the driveway and you could have a cup of coffee and some hot chocolate if you want. So I don't know if we'll ever get to be that size, at least not while we live where we live now, but maybe over time, because you can kind of picture me as the elf, like the Will Ferrell elf. He's spreading Christmas joy for all to see or something like that. I don't know what the line is, but that's kind of what I like to think of as me. So, but your family would decorate like lights and stuff on the house.
Yes, my mom actually did a lot of the outdoor lights, and I loved it. I should say, when I would come home from basketball practice and it was dark out, and I would see all of the lights on the house. So even when we moved out to the country, she would climb up the back side of the roof and hang icicle lights across the top of the roof and put a giant star up on the chimney. And it was incredible to me because my mom is not someone who liked heights. She wasn't that person, but she would always take the time to put up the Christmas lights every single year. That wasn't something that my dad ever helped with. And another thing for us is we were always late decorators, especially when it came to the tree and things. I think part of that was when I was really young, my mom had daycare, and there were always toddlers who, you had to worry about the
Sure.
tree
Yeah.
issue.
Ornaments.
Yes. And my dad was a teacher. And then as I got older, my mom was also a teacher. And so I discovered when I became a teacher that you didn't have a lot of time to think about all the Christmas stuff when you're dealing with all of the school stuff leading up to Christmas. So,
Semester finals.
yes. And you really didn't start decorating until you were on
Christmas
break. Exactly.
And then it doesn't come down until Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
That's kind of
it
when
would
your next
stay
break
up
would
for
be.
a long time. Yeah. So I feel like that's actually a very Catholic thing. We don't actually start celebrating Christmas till Christmas, and then we get to leave our trees up a little bit longer. So I still very much am that way, but our kids get so excited. And again, Mr. Christmas here, I feel like we're not the early people. Our stuff is not up in October. I make us wait till at least after Thanksgiving.
Second week of December.
But you guys do a little bit every night. Like, there's so much. There's Village.
Yeah.
There's the outdoor stuff. And
we haven't even set up our Christmas tree yet, and it's December 17th.
Crazy celebration here. We just won a $25 gift card for our Christmas display outside.
That's right. The kids were so excited. So excited.
Okay, so that's your favorite tradition. My favorite tradition, midnight mass. Growing up, that was my absolute favorite thing. And some of my best memories. One in particular was after my mom passed away, and she passed away December 10th. And that year, we had a foreign exchange student who lived with us for several years. He came back for the funeral and stayed through Christmas. And so it was him and my sister and my little brother. My older two siblings weren't there, but the four of us, I just remember we went to midnight mass and we listened to Christmas carols on the way home. And I think that's so special to me. One, because we were still together. We still upheld that tradition, even though we were older. We weren't living at home, but we went together. And also because that's the last memory I really have of mass together with more of my siblings. My brothers don't go to mass anymore. And so that was really special to me. And it's a time I still remember. I am not a big fan of the Christmas mass that's so packed that you're standing out the doors.
And it's so hot in there.
And it's hot and it's crazy.
It's
but
20 degrees outside and it's 100 degrees inside.
We do that now for the kids to participate in their activities.
And they love it.
But midnight mass was definitely my favorites. Also, I feel like it's cheating. Our current church, they do 10 o'clock mass, 10 p.m.
Have we gone to that one?
We have.
When we were first dating, maybe?
Yeah, before the kids were born.
Yeah.
So.
Just to kind of avoid some of the crowd.
That is definitely my favorite, though. I think Christmas mass is beautiful.
It is pretty. It is pretty. And I would go to different church services, I guess, at night. But it'd be like at 4. So that way you go home and have Christmas Eve dinner or what have you. So we would go to church before dinner. If that makes sense. And the thing I remember most was, for whatever reason, in all the Methodist churches, they have a bell choir. I don't know why that is, but they do. And that always kind of put me in the Christmas spirit, I guess. So, as far as church. But as far as, masses, and I guess that really doesn't hit home as much with me. It's more of the seeing the shoppers out there and Christmas shopping and hearing Christmas music, those types of things, which with online shopping anymore, it's hard to listen to Christmas music in malls because we don't really have an inside mall anymore.
Yeah, that's another thing we differ on. I am not a fan of huge crowds, and my hubby over here is missing the hustle and bustle of extreme crowds at the stores.
I don't mind. Well, I'm not saying that, but you know what? Just to say Merry Christmas to people goes a long ways, I think, anymore. And I don't see or hear that much, I guess.
He misses the indoor mall Christmas spirit.
The smell of Bath and Body Works.
I think you can still experience that. I don't know. I don't go to the mall very often.
Either.
I'm allergic to fragrance, so we've got that going for us.
But what about like food things? Did you guys have like for dinners or whatever, snacks? Like for us, when we would set up our Christmas stuff when I was a kid, we would have specific snacks like pickle rolls and popcorn and obviously candy and those types of things.
Yeah, when my mom was alive, we definitely very much kind of repeated what we had at Thanksgiving just because there were certain foods that only got made during that holiday season. And
So like dumplings?
Yes, dumplings was huge on my mom's side of the family, and us kids loved them. So that and the turkey and all of those things. My poor mom, between midnight mass and doing the Santa thing, and also the crazy dinner. I don't know how she did it. But after my mom passed away, we did what you've experienced since we've been together, which is my side of the family gets together and we each bring different soups to try, which is really fun.
But this isn't on Christmas Eve. We've had to make this.
That's true. That's like
Christmas.
The family get together,
Yeah.
not Christmas Eve.
Right.
That's true. No, we didn't have any special snacks on Christmas Eve.
See, like we would do what's called a chicken dish.
Oh yeah.
Which we no longer get anymore because A, I either ruined Christmas because I blew it up once, and that's another long story, or B, a bout of the flu went through the family and now no one can eat it anymore.
We ruined that tradition.
Yeah. But what that was, I can still taste it now. Not the flu part, but how good it was is chicken breast wrapped in bacon on top of dried beef, and it's sour cream, cream cheese, and cream of chicken soup over the top with bow tie noodles and farm fresh corn and green beans and homemade mashed potatoes and fresh rolls. You cannot beat it.
It was really good. It was really good. I could not eat that now. My stomach wouldn't be able to handle it, but it was really good.
I wish I held a whole plate of it now. But
okay, let's talk about when we get together, getting together with new side of the family.
Uh-huh.
What was that like for you coming into Catholic atmosphere, being someone who's not from Catholic?
Like just coming into the family, you mean?
Coming into the family and just going to family get-togethers. It's probably more overwhelming, just the vast number of people compared.
I mean, the family get-togethers, your dad wasn't Catholic.
It's true.
So I didn't feel like I have to or had to be Catholic. If that makes any sense?
Mm-hmm.
But going to just purely family get-togethers, it seemed like every time I went to a family get-together, which your family's really good about, is inviting people that, you know, you see maybe once a year in their family, and you might see them on the street or at the grocery store or something, but then they come to Christmas, which is awesome because then you can kind of catch up or take their money in poker. Your family's known for the poker.
Another family tradition, my dad used to have a pop machine in his classroom that was his, and so he would keep all of the quarters from the pop machine that the students had put in, and at Christmas time, he would donate all of the change for us to play a massive game of poker. And the rule used to be winner takes all. You had to play
till it's all
play till the end. So if you quit, you had to
put in your money.
So it was a very long game. We still
intense
uphold
game.
That tradition, but we usually say top 2 now.
Yeah. Just because we have younger kids and all that stuff. But anyways, yeah, I would say if anything, it was just the amount of people. My family's very small. It's myself, my sister, and my mom and dad, and my grandma.
Mm-hmm.
But even when the cousins got together, it was my mom and her brother and their kids. So, you know, at the most in any household was like 10 people. And when I go to your guys' family, our family and your sister's family is 10 people. And there's 3 other brothers and sisters, plus their kids and their kids' kids. You know, so it just became a lot. And at times I would get overwhelmed. And I'd have to...
By the kids.
By the screaming and the running. And I would just have to go outside and walk around no matter what time of year it was.
So coping strategy number 1, go outside and walk around.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, it wasn't anything like crazy or weird, I don't think. I just felt like I fit right in, which I guess is a testament to your family, huh?
Yeah.
So, I guess there's that.
What would you just say to someone who didn't feel like they were fitting in?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. Don't bring up politics. That's one good way to not...
That's one good way to ruin Christmas.
To ruin Christmas. Maybe just try and pick up a conversation with somebody or play some cards. You know, if you know how to play cards or a game. Usually a game brings the best out in people. And we could talk hours about our Scrabble deals, but something like that, maybe just to break the ice a little bit, would help.
You're a naturally social person.
Right.
Whereas
So that should be more for you.
Yeah, maybe more so. Even my own family who I love very much, I can feel very drained at the end of a get-together just because being around that many people can be draining to me. And I'm not one for small talk conversations.
So I should maybe ask you, because you're going from Catholic family to a non-Catholic family, even though mine was smaller, way back when, you know, and you're kind of more of an introvert.
Yeah.
What was it like for you coming into my family Christmas?
I think I always felt welcomed. Your family's great about that, but it's definitely taken me time to open up. And I think your family would say that too. Like, they still feel like they're really just getting to know me.
True.
For me, if someone invites me into conversation and they're asking me questions, it comes easily. And if I'm at an event or something where I don't know anyone, or most people don't know each other, I can open up conversation without a problem. But if I'm
because everyone's on the same level.
Because everyone's on the same level. But when I'm walking into a place and everyone knows each other and they're talking about stories and people and I have no idea what's going on and you just kind of nod your head, for me, that's a little uncomfortable. So it definitely has taken me some years to get comfortable. So I would just say give it time. Even if you and your spouse have been married for a while, just give it time. And I think tell your spouse too what you're feeling when you're going in.
Be vulnerable about the situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it too, is that's my personality, so you're great.
Well, there were many times when we were first married, I'd get the question, well, where'd Kylie go? I'm like, oh, she's just upstairs reading a book. Is she okay? Yeah.
That wasn't at a family get-together. That was just when we would go stay with the family for weekends.
But even family get-togethers, because that'd be over a weekend.
That's true. Yeah, we would stay there overnight. And I would just need to go decompress.
Yeah. Which isn't a bad thing. But just meet your partner and check in on them. And I would say more than anything for this, if you're taking your spouse into a situation that you're comfortable, like, be aware of that and just check on them.
Yeah. And I would say definitely too, those early years, I was working on my master's and a lot of times I would have work, be grading finals and things even over Christmas break. So I would have to sneak away just to get work done.
In a non-internet household?
Yeah. Yeah, best I could. But the quiet too definitely gave me a chance to rejuvenate.
Right. It is quiet out there.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, what about setting boundaries? Or I don't know if that's the best way to word that, but when it comes to conversations with people of your own family or of your in-laws, what advice would you give when there's that person who just pushes your buttons?
As far as, like, if it's your family pushing my buttons?
Ooh, let's start there. What if it's my family pushing your buttons?
Because we, at times, run into this.
We have.
I think that's another one of those times you just have... We made the decision, I guess, when we first got married, that Kylie was going to kind of handle her family things. And with my input and vice versa. And so, a major one for us was purely just figuring out when to have a holiday. Everybody wants to have it on Christmas Day, and everybody wants to have it on Christmas Eve or what have you. But that's where we set our boundaries, and we said, no, Christmas Eve is for us and our family. And I don't think we have really ever gotten together maybe the first year with your sister, just because it's how it worked out.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, since we've had kids, it's our night as our family, so we don't feel rushed and going around. We can have our own traditions and our own things. Is Christmas Eve. But that seems like our go. And then my parents' Christmas, or my family's Christmas, is usually the weekend after Christmas, and my wife's family is the weekend before Christmas. And it's been kind of nice because everybody knows that it's the weekend before and the weekend after, and there isn't fighting, but we're lucky enough that we just have 2 Christmases to go to. There's people at work that have 5 or 6 Christmases because it's split families and all of those things. And at some point, not saying you have to be involved, but just say, look, we're running from one to the other, and we can't even enjoy the holiday, and kind of be a little selfish, I guess, when it comes to that.
Yeah, Christmas has pretty much always been just us, except for when my dad was around. We always wanted to make sure that he had somewhere to be on Christmas Day. So sometimes it would be with us, sometimes with my sister. Same with Thanksgiving.
Yep. And
just making sure that there was that
right
for him. But now that or my younger brother, but once all the siblings were married, then we kind of all did our separate thing on Christmas Day.
Right. And so, my grandma, I think, still has soup or something on Christmas Day if we want to go back for that.
Yeah.
But we haven't been there for a couple years, maybe, if that. But regardless, again, I think this goes back to just being aware of spouse's feelings towards family members and what have you. For me, just like we talked a minute ago, I go outside and walk around if there's a situation that I'm not too keen on, or if there's a discussion that's going on that I don't agree with, and I just kind of remove myself because I don't feel that Christmas is the time to bring that stuff up. Good, bad, or indifferent. Maybe you call it avoidance. I call it just keeping the peace.
Yeah, I would say, and this is a topic that actually recently came up in coaching as well, is when do you speak up, especially if it comes to something personal, a religious difference or something like that, or I've had this come up, same when I've had siblings talk, or sibling spouses, talking about teachers in a way that really made me fired up and uncomfortable, where I felt like I really wanted to say something, and just praying about or asking the Lord in that moment, is now the time to speak up, or is now the time to be silent? And I think that that's something that we just kind of have to pray about in the moment and determine, is this a conversation that needs to happen right now? Sometimes I walk away and I just go in a different room because I don't feel like it's the appropriate time to engage in that conversation, and I wasn't a part of the original conversation. Gossip is another one. You'll see me get up and leave room. I'll just go somewhere else or go play with the kids. That's a great out if
the kids
you have
love
kids.
Aunts and uncles playing with them.
Yeah, go hang out with the kids for a while.
Go make one of those Christmas snowflake with the piece of paper where you fold it and then you cut the little shapes out. My goodness, you'd have them busy for hours.
Go find a baby that's crying or needs some cuddles, and you can disappear in a rocking chair for quite some time. Maybe you can get a nap
if you're lucky. Naps are nice.
And if you do feel convicted to speak up and say something, then just remember that this is a time where We surrender our expectations for how the other person is going to respond, and remember that we are responsible for our actions and our emotions and our responses, and they have the free will to choose theirs. So we might desire them to react in a certain way, but if they don't, that's okay. And we are not there to fix anyone. We are there to love them.
Unconditionally.
To love them, which sometimes can be really hard. Sometimes it can be really hard, even with our own flesh and blood. But we are there to love them, and we can have hard conversations.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, let the Lord do the Lord's work.
Absolutely.
Okay. Prepping for family get-togethers. Christmas, we do not have people over to our house, but we do have this. We have had this in the past for Thanksgiving. We have this happen for birthday parties. And those of you who have listened to this podcast know my own story about the stress that came with prepping for family get-together right before my mom passed away. Living with someone who has high expectations for herself and for her house. What's your advice for the husband?
Let your wife do the planning. That's my advice, if you can get away with it. Mine won't let me. Most of the time.
That is not true. So not true.
That isn't true. It's kind of true. It's a lot of communication goes into prepping for get-togethers. Not only, obviously we have a bigger family, so to try and get everyone together at the same time is tough. But coming from different places, and some are making long drives, and it is challenging to prepare for those get-togethers because we're notorious for last minute. We need to finish the dishes here, go get the pizza there, what have you. But my family, if it's here, typically needs to be here before lunch, so that way they can have conversation before they have to get back in the car and leave, I guess.
Because they're coming from a further distance.
Yeah, they're coming from almost 2 hours away. And so having a 1 o'clock afternoon lunch for a birthday party, and then to get home before dark at 4:30 or 5, they're not really here all that long. So it's challenging from the standpoint of keeping all the perspectives, I guess, there. That doesn't make much sense.
Well, just understanding that everyone is coming from a different place. So I think a big part of this isn't part of the prep part, but the actual get together is just being mindful that when our feelings feel hurt that people leave early or they come late, just respecting that they have established their own boundaries and they are sticking to those boundaries. And what I mean by that is your family will ask to come early.
Yes.
Often.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't want to have to drive in the dark.
Right.
Whereas my family would be the opposite. They would ask to come late because there's usually other stuff going on in the morning and they are close and they're just more evening people. So for us, it's not getting stressed out over what time are we going to have the get together and who's going to come late and who's going to leave early or who's going to prioritize the football game that's on TV or whatever else it is, and just saying whoever can be here, and our feelings are not going to be hurt because we are respecting that they have different boundaries and they have different desires for how their day is going to go than we are. It doesn't mean that we don't matter to them or that we're not important. It just means that we have different expectations for our day.
Now, the hard part of that is explaining that to your kids. Explain that to your 5 and 9-year-old who don't quite understand that concept yet. But we've tried to be better. I'm not saying we're great at this, but in years past, we've been notorious of, hey, we're having a birthday party at such and such a time, not even thinking about really the family around us. And it's 3 or 4 days before the party's going to happen. Well, most people can't plan for that. So we've tried to make a conscious effort this year, and especially going into next year, I think, to give, 3 months notice, and then a 2-month notice, and then a 1-month notice that it hasn't changed, and hopefully in hopes that everybody can at least make it at some point during the day. Because I know, for Keaton, it's been one of the harder years because he doesn't understand why people can make it to his sister's birthday party, but they can't make it to his, or vice versa. And so we as parents are trying to be better about letting everyone else who gets the cousins here, put them on notice that parties are happening earlier.
Also, just great teaching opportunity for our children.
That too. Yeah.
The world does not revolve around them, and sometimes people have other commitments. It doesn't mean that they're not important. It just means that they had other commitments on that day that they might have already had plans, which same things happens at the holidays sometimes.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying that we don't do that. I'm just saying that, it's hard for a 5-year-old to understand, I guess, right now.
Our son's 6.
Okay, 6. He was 5. Was it Mac that told me, not your brother Mac, but the other Mac, that as you get older, time is like a toilet paper roll? The more you pull the toilet paper out, the faster it spins, and the smaller it gets.
I've never heard.
It's like life is like a toilet paper roll or something. I'll have that one on the next time I get on here.
What about when your wife is stressing out because the house isn't clean yet or the food's not cooked yet? Wife being me. And I start to have my mini meltdown. I get a little stressed. What's your advice?
I like to think that the silent treatment helps, because if I don't say anything, then it makes things better, but that, for whatever reason, always comes back in reverse, and it doesn't work to my benefit. So I need to really figure out a new way to adapt to that as your husband. My new approach is going to be to try to be over helpful and ask, okay, what needs to be done next before anything that we need or I want to get done gets done.
Good plan.
That's what I thought.
And I just want to mention, too, those of you who know the temperaments, my husband and I are both choleric, which is an interesting combo because that means we both think that we're right.
Right.
And we have a particular way that we want something done.
Correct.
And our method of efficiency is very different.
Correct. Every time.
So I'm also high sanguine, which means that my process of getting something done is not linear. And you are highly, want things done as efficiently and as quickly as possible.
Yes. Yes, very much so. And I don't know if that's because, obviously I grew up that way somehow, or someone taught me that or something.
I think it's the problem solver in you. I think we're both problem solvers, but we problem solve in very different ways.
Yours is very abstract.
Yes, and I think that you are very much on the immediate single task problem solving, and I am more in long term. So if we're talking about cleaning, I'm thinking of all the steps that it's going to save me later if I reorganize this whole thing right now, and you're just
when we have 1 hour to get ready for the party,
just get it in the cabinet. Just get it off the counter.
Yeah, very much so. Which causes me frustration because
you're what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing? It's my very common question. What are you doing? We have people that are going to be here in 20 minutes and we're reorganizing the spice cabinet.
Okay, I've never done that when people were coming over. But I know what you mean. Just the things that we think that people are going to pay attention to.
Correct.
Are very different.
Yes.
And so we prioritize different things.
Yeah. We need one of those empty closets that we can just throw
Shove
everything
in.
into and lock the door so no one can open it and all this stuff falls
Except
out.
for I would be the person that has to clean it out later. That would stress me out.
But it would be reality because then you could clean everything else before you opened up the door to then put all that stuff
Is
away
there
where you need it.
anything what's stressful for you when it comes to planning get-togethers? Because you like to host.
I do. My most stress comes when I'm trying to alleviate your stress.
Oh, so
Probably.
I'm the stressor.
Yeah, I would say so. Because, you don't really like calling, sending out even the text message or the invite.
No, I don't.
And that is
That feels like pressure to me.
but you're the one who makes the details. I feel like the middle guy. I'm it's so much faster if you just send out what you're thinking instead of having to tell me, only for me to probably mess it up, to then send it out, to then recorrect it when you could have just said exactly what it needed to be in the first place.
Yeah.
Again, with the temperament thing.
Yes. I would agree with that. I think I don't want to be the one to make all of the decisions. You tell me that you want to make decisions, so I just hand that over to you, honey.
But in the end, I don't make the decision. So, what difference does it make? Yeah, well, we figure it out.
The stressor for me is all of it, I think. The cleaning, the making sure that we have enough food. You don't worry about things like that much.
My thought process, it's a time, if we need to go get more, you can just take a couple brother-in-laws and go get more. If we need more ice, we just go get more ice. Otherwise, I don't really get stressed out about the get-togethers. It's more curbing your stress and helping.
Any other holiday tips? We are now joined by our 6-year-old who woke up. Do you have any advice for non-stressful Christmas?
It's simple. Just get all the and then do all the other later.
Oh, you just leave the rest of it for later and focus on Christmas.
Because that's the best time of the year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Christmas.
But just focus. If you need to put up the trash, just shove it in the dump.
That is great advice. Buddy, we're getting ready to wrap up our episode, and at the end, we always have someone give us a prayer tip, and you're a pretty good prayer guy. Do you have a prayer tip that you could share? Okay, say it right here into the microphone.
Why don't they just, if they cannot hear the prayer, if they want to do a prayer and they don't know it, why don't they just get a prayer book?
Oh, get a prayer book.
For the prayer that you want.
That's a good idea. Get a prayer book.
That worked pretty good for me because I don't really know many prayers, huh? Yeah.
Can we also just pray from our heart? Do you do that sometimes? They can't see you shaking your head, so you have to say yes or no.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Good prayer tip. What's your favorite part of Christmas?
That Jesus' birthday and that as long as he has it and as long as he has his birthday and he likes it, then I think that just all matters.
That's what matters.
That he was born Christmas Day. All that matters.
That's all that matters. The mess doesn't matter.
Traditions don't matter.
Other people's opinions don't matter. It's that Jesus was born on Christmas, and that's what we want to remember. So we're going to keep you all in our prayers this Advent as we prep for Christmas coming soon. Can you tell everyone Happy Advent?
And pray the Advent prayer.
Pray the Advent prayer. They might not know the Advent prayer. Should we say that quick?
Mm-hmm. Come, Lord Jesus. This is the Advent prayer. Come, Lord Jesus. Help prepare our hearts for your birthday. Amen.
Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Happy Advent, everyone.
Yeah.
Beautiful souls, thank you again for journeying with me. If you have been blessed by this episode, it would mean the world to me if you would leave a review. Be sure to screenshot it, share it on your social media stories, and don't forget to tag me on Instagram or Facebook at Kylie M. Hein. Stay persistent in prayer, protect your peace, and as always, share the light of Christ with everyone around you.